So the latest term that is doing the rounds in narcissistic abuse is floodgating. And floodgating in narcissistic relationships is when the narcissist overshares with you very quickly into meeting you. So imagine it's your first or second time meeting this person, and they just spill the tea on their deepest secrets, on their traumas, on what has been their struggle, and it's too much information too soon. They are overwhelming you, they are floodgating you. Floodgates are barriers in rivers or canals that control the flow of the water. They regulate the water and for distribution and for preventing flooding. What the narcissist is doing is opening these floodgates of sharing, and it makes you feel very important. That is the spin on this. The reason they are sharing it is because nobody has given you that sort of a pedestal. So if I begin to feel very comfortable with you and I'm able to share stuff with you, it makes you feel that you're important. Something about you makes them feel this comfort level, makes them feel connected to you. It's about connection. It's about you. In their conversation, they will keep dropping these anchors in your body. Something about you is very comforting. I like to share with you. I don't know what it is. Maybe you're my twin flame. Maybe you're my soulmate. So across this conversation that they have with you on the first or second date, they are going to be able to quickly warm up to you, make you warm up to them, keep dropping these information points and anchor points in your system. And without you realizing, you will start to feel that intensity. You will start to feel that something about this relationship already is special. And that's what they want. This is the psychological manipulation and maneuvering that they are aiming for, to make you feel like you have given them some sense of safety, some sense of belonging, and in turn you are getting the sense of belonging, the sense of safety, the importance from this narcissist. That is the trick. That is the key to this emotional intensity, going from not knowing this person to them sharing so much. So always keep your antenna up when in like the first second date, or very quickly meeting somebody on a date or as a romantic interest, and they are able to share with you, they are able to tell you you seem like their soulmate, and you have these very deep and meaningful and soulful conversations. When somebody is drawn to you or attracted to you, this love at first sight is only a media and movie led concept. Emotional attachment and attraction takes a lot of time. Emotional connection takes time. Understanding you takes time. It's not some rapid fire speed fest that you'll instantly have that connection and you'll instantly start sharing. Whenever that happens, whenever clients tell me that, oh, we went so quickly, it just tells me that that is the biggest giveaway. That's the biggest tell of a narcissistic person, that they want everything to happen quickly. They want many supplies to be in their net, so that they can play with this person, with this in this manner, different. It's like a canvas, and they have different styles, and they have different people who can get roped into their manipulation in different ways. So they love to play. They love, that is their art. This is their performance. So it's very interesting to get into the mind of a narcissist and to see it from the outside. But when you're part of that supply, it is your intensity, your emotion, your soul that has felt that connect. It is a very deep gap that you have felt within you, a void that has existed, that they have been able to complete, to fulfill, to meet at that moment. So be wary, be alert, be self-aware that You may be looking to find a partner, a companion, but that does not mean that you just let go of your own self-preservation, your own sense of self and awareness to give somebody so much importance and allow them in so quickly. Err on the side of caution. I would take it longer, let the emotional attraction develop slowly rather than this chaotic, mad, chemistry laden intensity immediately straight off the bat. So, floodgating is this where they are trying to get to you so soon, flood you with emotion, flood you with intensity, flood you with their stories, flood you with the love bombing. This is the beginning. This is the first step. This is in the initial stages of you meeting the narcissist. Floodgating then changes into a lot of other forms. So in a later time in your relationship, the floodgating will not be so much as to make you feel the validation and the importance and sharing and love bombing. You're already cooked and hooked and locked in to the narcissist. Now the floodgating will move into the devaluing stage. So they will start to change the narrative. I didn't say that. You're always oversensitive. You're cramping my style. You don't allow me to be me, and you're the most laid back person, you're the most allowing person, and you're wondering, okay, did I say that? Was I wrong over there? Did my question impact and affect them? And maybe it is early in the relationship and you don't know them, but how could they know you to be so close to you, to tell you everything and feel that soulmate connection, and suddenly they don't have that closeness with you to tell you very clearly in black and white, this is the kind of person I am, I like being this way, I don't like being this way, and discussing it with you in a adult and mature way, rather than silent treatment, rather than sulking, rather than disappearing, rather than not answering your calls or texts. So you have to be very clear that there is some difference in the way they are behaving in the beginning and then now, and then again they come back and it goes back to the original form of floodgating, and they are back to sharing, and they are back to that chemistry that you shared. So again you're confused. So you have to be clear, all this is part of floodgating. All this is overwhelming you with information about them, and they're giving you clues about their behavior, about their personality. Believe them when they're telling you who they are. You have a narrative by now that always gives them the benefit of the doubt, that always gives them that pedestal type stature. You give them that, that stature, that belief that they are really good for you, and they already infiltrated in your brain and in your heart and in your soul that they are the best thing for you. So when the devaluing happens, you're not even prepared. You're blindsided by that devaluing, and you're always wondering about the devaluing and the discard. And the discard will also happen. Be absolutely sure that you're being prepped and primed for discard. And discard is when they know that you're absolutely trusting them. In the devaluing, they're going back and forth. The cortisol, adrenaline, dopamine is going back and forth. You are still that, maybe the feisty person who's fighting back and saying, no, I don't agree. You're still engaged with them. You're still locked in battle with them. That's what they want. They love to hype you up. They love to make you hyper. They love this battle that happens back and forth. It may just be that you're very calmly discussing stuff with them also. Okay, we'll communicate, we'll discuss what went wrong, we'll discuss ad nauseum why that did not work for us, and they love it because they know you're still engaged. They only want you to be engaged with them, whether you're engaged in fighting, in crying, in explaining, in clarifying, in any form. The engagement with the narcissist is what makes them know that you're still locked in. The target is still locked and loaded. It hasn't dissolved and just left. And there are targets and supplies that will not agree, that will say, oh my god, this is not me. They don't waste time, they're so crisp, and they just exit. And so that person that just exited, first sign of this manipulation or this thing that they were not able to handle and they didn't like, that person, that supply dodged a bullet. And so they let that go, because now that they might chase them, but if that person goes, they might let them go and replace them with another target. And when you are still locked and loaded in their net of discussions, and they have a lot of stamina, so they will discuss with you day in and day out, and sometimes they even discuss for hours on end. You'll discuss it all day, all night, and you're working on no sleep. You're working on such high emotional chaos and drama, and that's what they want. They are not so invested in this at all. You're the one who's invested. You're the one who's fighting, who's white knuckling it, who's trying to get a solution, and they're going around in circles. The cyclical arguments that they're giving you, oh, I thought you meant this, and you're like screenshotting things, and you're sending them things back, that how could you do this. All that is all play. And for the narcissist, they seem that they are in that moment, they are crying, they are also so white knuckling that conversation themselves, that you never feel that they are the ones who could be really lying about where they are. And they're doing this maybe for 3 other people. Be sure that they could be doing it for much more than 3 people, but at least a minimum of 3 might be somewhere in the pipeline. So you have to understand that this kind of floodgating at this moment, floodgating of discussions, of conversations, repeat, going on and on and on, many hours at a stretch, it drains you emotionally. It drains you, fatigues you, shuts your nervous system down. That is their agenda. Because when your nervous system shuts down, when you go into the freeze mode, not fight flight, you go into freeze. You've already done fight flight, faint, fawn, and freeze. Now you're totally exhausted, psychologically, emotionally, physically. You're running on no sleep. Maybe you're not eating, not drinking water, not looking after your health. That's what they want. Now they know it is the right time to discard. And at some point when you're at your lowest, or some event occurs and you're devastated by it, that is when the discard happens. That is also timed. Maybe it's your birthday, maybe it's some important event maybe it's your child's birthday. They will remember to do the discard on that day, because that day has a lot of charge already. And when they discard you on that day, every time that day comes around, it will be linked to the discard, to sudden grief, to sudden death of you. And it will not be something you will be able to come back to your own body, to your own pre-narcissist self in a hurry. Make no mistake, this is their agenda of floodgating. It is very important to recognize the signs and to arm yourself with tools that prevent the floodgating from happening. tool number one is being self-aware. So when you understand that I know who I am, I cannot be misled or misguided by somebody who wants to give me information on the first date. So being there in that moment, assessing it, being present in the date, but not letting it get to your system in such a way that you're swept away, that chemistry and that headiness of that attention and validation and meaning that they're giving you gets to a point where you just lose the plot and you just swoon over them and go into their spell. So being self-aware of who you are, what your strengths are, what they're trying to do is very important. Second is knowing the tactics. So when you know that this is the tactic which the narcissist will employ, you are already prepared. You're already aware in the back of your mind that should this happen, I need to now look at it in that manner, not that, oh, there is somebody here that I've become a soulmate for already. So that is a very important thing. The third thing is that you have to be able to talk to people. So when you talk to your friends, when you talk to your closest group of people, constantly be in consultation with yourself, what your intuition and your instinct is telling you about this person, and also what your friends are saying. It cannot be that you're only in conversation with one person, which is the narcissist. They try to do that. They try to isolate you from the rest of the world so that you don't get any second opinions or perspectives. Be very clear that you don't want to fall into that trap, and have boundaries so that when you understand that this person is oversharing, or maybe they're going into an uncomfortable space of oversharing, it's not making you feel that good, then you tell them that, you know, let's meet again to have this conversation. Right now it's a little heavy for me. So you have to be able to give a pushback when they're sharing too much. Also, the sixth is when they're trying to, in another stage of the relationship, devalue you or discard you. At that moment, you have to understand that there were certain things which you may have missed, which you did not recognize as signs of narcissism or toxic relationship behavior, but now you do, and you can connect the dots retrospectively. You can understand that yes, all these things have occurred, all this kind of behavior has happened with me, and don't look at it with rose tinted glasses. Remove those glasses and look at it absolutely in a piercing black and white way, that words are cheap, words can be given by anyone, but do their actions match what they are saying? So if they want to be if they want to love you or care for you, then does that love and care show absolutely clearly in each situation and each interaction that you have had with them? It cannot be that there is love and care in the words, but in their actions they're sulking, they're controlling, they're constantly accusing, or they're telling you that you didn't do something the way it should have been done, that you caused something, and ultimately the test is what you're feeling. So if you started with this high intensity, but somewhere along the way you're crying uncontrollably, suddenly you are feeling very strange, these are all weird mix of emotions that you haven't felt before, you have to understand that these are not normal relationship dynamic emotions. If the emotion of the relationship has been intense and beautiful on the one hand, then the emotions that you're displaying of crying, of anger, of outrage, of just meltdowns with maybe your mother or your children, it should not happen that way. So you need to figure out why the difference in the actions, the words of the narcissist, and also why the difference in the emotions that you feel in that span of time that you have been with this person. So make no mistake that they will confuse you, and then you go back to the narcissist for the discussion on why you're feeling this way, and then they're able to sway you back to that point of anchor that they put into your system in the beginning, floodgating of love bombing. So it's a very delicate walk and very layered and nuanced manipulation, but you have to be able to pull yourself out of that relationship chaos at that moment and view it very independently. If your best friend came to you, if your own daughter came to you and said, this is what's happening in my relationship, what would you advise her to do? You have to look at it like that for yourself, and you have to be selfish, you have to be self-preservatory, you have to understand that prevention is better than cure. You getting out of something that does not feel right at all in the beginning is far easier than taking it to a number of years and then realizing that your gut was always right, and that floodgating which caused you to feel that swooning effect, that intensity, that what you had always missed, was the reason why you were never able to come out of it. So getting out, looking at it, whether when you're present in this floodgating right now or you're in any of the other stages, you have to be able to jump out. And if you're not able to do that on your own, then take therapy, go to a trauma and narcissistic relationship informed therapist that is going to be able to work with you, because the rules of working in therapy with a narcissistic abuse and recovery is very different from conventional therapy. So make that very clear in your mind that if you go to a conventional therapist, they will not have the tools to get you out of narcissistic toxicity and manipulation, because that recovery, the recovery rules, those techniques are very different from conventional.